The Souvenir, Joanna Hogg, pretty established uh, director over in the UK, but this seems to be one of the first films that's getting a lot of international attention. Um, Souvenir starring Honor Swinton Byrne, the daughter of Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton is also in this as her mother. So it's all in the family here. Also starring Tom Burton. Pretty interesting film. Yeah, about the relationship between Julia and Anthony. Julia, this mid-20s film student over in the UK, and Anthony, this like foreign ministry worker for the UK, and
Yep.
about their relationship, but also Anthony's battle with addiction and how that impacts Julia. The story is told completely from Julia's perspective, and I think what I find most interesting about this is it's also based on a lot of Joanna Hogg's own experiences. The Ringer had a really nice piece on this. Actually, I'd recommend you go read it. How did you feel about this film, The Souvenir?
Yeah, it's one of those movies that you have no idea about it until the Sundance buzz happens. Then A24 purchases it, they're gonna release it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll check this out. Like, it's a movie you just can't know about until they show it at a festival and people start raving about it, right? So it's always that's always something I look forward to every year. It's just these movies you have don't know what to expect. And I went into The Souvenir quite blind. I didn't watch the trailer. I just knew everyone loved it, and I knew Tilda Swinton was in it. That's really about it. And you watch the movie, and I think a critique I have in a certain sense is that it's not always super engaging, but it always keeps you in this world. I think it's funny because the way they shoot this movie, you see it a lot in the apartment, which is primarily the main setting. We're set in 1980s London primarily, and they have a lot of camera shots where you see two rooms for Anthony and Julie, and they're one's in the kitchen, one's in like the bathroom or something, or one's sitting, one's standing. And the way they show that with like the wall in the middle almost kind of reminded me of Esmail's like top down shots of buildings at times, where you show multiple settings in one frame. I just really like that, and the way they Hogg would do like quick pans, and I don't actually know if she did her own cinematography, but anyway, that really stood out to me in terms of it had its own visual flair, which stands out for a movie that ultimately is just people in rooms or outside. Yeah. We're not watching any action here; it's just a lot of dialogue and walking and talking. And ultimately, I think the strength of the movie is the dialogue, in the sense that this movie does not show its cards and tells you what it's about or even what's going to happen right away. And again, I hadn't watched the trailer, so I really had no idea where we were going. And that's actually really, really exciting, just because I think it's a smart technique that you don't see that often. I think it's a lot of confidence to have an addiction movie be so subdued. Or we're watching this a few months after half a year after seeing Beautiful Boy, a very melodramatic, showy movie about addiction, movie we both still liked, but very different storytelling. And Souvenir, like I said, I think there's moments where I don't want to call it indulgent, but sometimes the conversations they were having, I just didn't find that interesting. So maybe it takes you out at times, but it's still very compelling, the relationship these two have, and how, like, I guess Julie is addicted to her boyfriend, who's literally addicted. I'm not sure if that's actually the message or not, but it's definitely a movie you can't help but admire just for the choices it makes, even if it's not something that I love start to finish all the time. What about you?
Yeah, I went in blind like you. I think to go back to what you were saying about the cinematography, that probably felt like the strongest piece to me. Talking about addiction and just kind of what people know about addiction, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of hiding, there's a lot of lying within it, and in a lot of ways it's hidden. I mean, even like you said, they slow play what this movie's about. You don't even figure out until I think 30 or 40 minutes in that Anthony is really dealing with this. There's like clues that there might be something there, but
track marks
really. Yeah, but then his friends like, yeah, I don't really get, like, he, heroin addict, and you like, what's the catch there? And like that's when you're like, oh well, now they put all their cards on the table. Now you kind of see what this is about. But even after that, it's not like she confronts him about it.
Yeah.
It's like still a slow build. And um, the way that Hogg uses reflections in this stood out to me a lot, because she has a lot of shots where you don't actually see the characters, but you'll see like a window reflection, and that will be how you see like Julianne and her mother interacting, or you'll see like Anthony and her like in a room together, but you also see the reflection. It's kind of like distorted and muffled, and I felt like that really added an aspect of kind of probably what it feels like to be in a relationship with somebody who is suffering from addiction. There's a lot of things that happen that are hidden for shame reasons, or are hidden for the fact that maybe you want to support this person and don't know the best way how, so you don't talk about it, you don't address it. And I think to kind of use that as a cinematography trick or style, it was really smart. I agree. I found this to be a slog at times, and while their relationship was engaging, uh, I just kind of found myself being kind of bored. And I think if there was one thing I would have liked, I think I would have liked to have, I don't know, maybe even just like more music in this or something like that, something that kept me a little bit more engaged. There was a lot of silence in this movie.
Yeah. When the
And
music was
while,
there, it was good too.
yeah, it was great. There's that scene where I think she's like writing and that like the radio's playing, and like I found, and they were shooting it like from the desk, the perspective of
Yep.
the desk looking up at her, and I was like, that's a really cool shot, like a memorable moment from this movie. So I think that might have added something to it. Overall, though, I think just Joanna Hogg as a filmmaker and a stylist in terms of film is what I'm kind of left with, even if I didn't find the story super engaging.
Yeah, and it's funny because like alongside the addiction drama, we have Julie's film school
Right.
venture, and we have her conversations with her teachers, and we have her conversations with her friends in the flat, right? And a lot of these conversations are very top level whimsical things and thematically driving the movie. And I don't know if the union of her film at the end totally worked with me in terms of how it relates to the her relationship, their boyfriend. I'm
Hmm.
not sure. It's a movie that is really all dialogue, so you really have to catch everything as it comes at you. And like Tilda
Yeah.
Swinton's role as the mom is very small role, but very, I think, pointed in terms of what she's trying to do in terms of being a kind but judgmental figure
Hmm.
in her daughter's life. And yeah, again, it's a movie that it's very artsy and
Yeah.
not for everyone. Again, we have our own issues with it just from an entertainment perspective, but
Hmm.
ultimately, I think it's still a movie I'm gonna look back on finally. I do have it in my top 10 right now, and funny enough, it's getting a fucking sequel, which is shooting right now. It's about Julie's extended adulthood, which I think is cool because her character, I think, is very well written, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
potential in terms of where we take her next. Now that spoilers, Anthony's dead. So
Right.
what's happening, right? But the news that Robert Pattinson, the GOAT, has been cast in this sequel, and they're already making it. So maybe we see this movie next year. Um, it's awfully exciting.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne for sure. The more we talk it out, it seems like the theme that probably stood out most to me is just like the story and growth of this young woman. She starts off in the beginning talking about she wants to make this movie about this young man whose relationship with his mother kind of like as the mother dies, like something happens and he has to become more independent. And I think in a way like the parallels between her story and with Anthony and where she ends up, she's a lot more confident at the end of this film. She seems to find herself, even in like the scenes in the film school, you can tell she seems to be kind of coming into her own. And I think that, like you said, that's the exciting part for a sequel, is seeing how that character continues to grow and what that character continues to do. Um, and also, I think her and Swin, obviously being mother and daughter, had a lot of chemistry in this, and I would like to see that relationship fleshed out a little bit more moving forward too. So, uh, quite the movie. Maybe not my favorite, but I think there's a lot to appreciate there. And if you get a chance, if it's by you and you got some time, I think you check it out. If not, it'll definitely be on probably like Amazon Prime or something like that in the next couple months.